All right, cool. And welcome to the Just in Time podcast. I'm your host, Justin Shute, and this is episode 24. And we got a good one in store for y'all today. It's been a while since we last posted, but in this episode, we're going to talk about the finale of the college football 2023 season. We're going to talk about how the college football playoff went, the championship game, and the aftermath and what had happened afterwards. Also going to talk about the NFL playoffs as they begin this weekend, along with some NBA discussion at the end of the video. But as always, be sure to follow me on Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook. All my socials are, on the banner below. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on my YouTube videos. Those mean a lot to me. And I'll be sure to start posting more as this new year comes along. Looking for a bigger and better 2024 and hoping that this podcast does a little bit better numbers wise. And that's going to be on me making sure that the quality and all that is increased from the last year. It's always my job to get better as I do stuff the longer I do it at. And so that's the goal of this podcast. Anyways, before we get right into the topics of the video, I want to give a quick shout out to the sole sponsor of the video, and that is going to be 4K the Barber and High Jump Party Rentals. So shout out to High Jump Party Rentals and 4K the Barber, getting high quality party bounces and party packages available, along with an fantastic barber service. They're not up and coming anymore. Chris Need has developed, man. If you need a haircut or you need a party bounce, you can hit up the owner, Chris Need, at 210-438-3366, and he will take care of y'all with A-plus hospitality. The cooler weather is here, and you can still have fun outside with the party bounces for the kiddos, and Chris Need, as a barber, will leave you 100% satisfied. As you can see, he did me very right this morning. I'm very blessed and thankful that he came through, and he never lets me down. He's never going to let you down. And if you're in the San Antonio area, I suggest you book them today immediately, whether it's for a party bounce or a haircut. So hit up Chris Need, 4K the Barber, or High Jump Party Rentals at 210-438-3366 today. Now we're going to talk about the college football playoff. We're going to, just wrap up the entirety of the college football finale of the 2023 season. It's been a crazy season, a crazy entertaining one for me to watch as a fan. And we're going to start it off with the first matchup of the college football playoff, the Rose Bowl. That is Alabama versus Michigan. And that one ended up being Alabama falling to Michigan 27-20. Some of the key contributors from that game for Michigan was led by Blake Corum, running back. He had 83 rushing yards, 35 receiving yards, a rushing touchdown, and a touchdown receiving. So, that was huge that Blake Corum was able to come alive and, be a key contributor for the Wolverines. Quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines, J.J. McCarthy, he went 17 for 27, had 221 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. He was phenomenal on that day. Dude made no mistakes. First drive of the game, he threw an interception and was called back, so it didn't even count. And he didn't let it faze him. He continued to play a great game. And same thing for his receivers. Roman Wilson, 4 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Michigan stepped up that day, and they played like a championship-winning team right there. Beating Bama is not an easy feat by any means. Alabama quarterback Jalen Monroe, he went 16 for 23 for 116 passing yards, and he also had 63 yards on the ground. A little bit underwhelming numbers from the Alabama quarterback. You kind of hope that he had some touchdowns on the board and stuff like that, but it is what it is. Jace McClellan, the running back for Alabama, had 14 carries for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. And a notable receiver to point out for Alabama was Isaiah Bond, 4 catches for 47 yards. All in all, it was a great game to watch. It was a game dominated by the lines of scrimmage. And at the end of the day, Michigan had, come up with more winning plays, and that's why they were able to advance to the national championship game. I had Bama winning this game as a prediction, and I'm glad that – I'm not glad that I was wrong, but, I'm human, what can you do? Moving on to the Texas and Washington game, this was sad to watch for me because I'm a Texas fan, but Washington beat Texas 37-31, and we're going to talk about the winners first. Washington, Michael Penix Jr., had a phenomenal game, just absolutely torched our secondary. He went 29 for 38, 430 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Whatever he wanted, he got. He was accurate all game, no turnovers. I mean, dude was solid. Running back Dylan Johnson, 21 carries for 49 yards and 2 touchdowns. We did good at, limiting his big playability and stuff like that, but, he was still productive because, he found the end zone twice. Jalen Polk, 5 catches for 122 yards and a touchdown. Roma Dunze, 6 catches for 125 yards. Jalen McMillan had 5 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. All in all, Washington just played great that day. I mean, offensively, they got whatever they want. They were able to compete with us in shootout. And for most of the game, I would say Washington had Texas playing from behind. And, when Texas plays like that, it's never a good sign. And, a similar game that, kind of felt the same kind of way was that Oklahoma game at the beginning of the year for Texas. Red River rivalry going up against your rival OU. And they played from behind most of that game. And they had some costly turnovers. And, playing from behind in those costly turnovers, they still found a way to fight and come back and almost win the game. And they fell short at the Red River rivalry. And it's kind of what happened here, too. They kind of fell short even when they had a chance to, win the game or go to overtime in the last play of the game. Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, he went 24 for 43, 318 passing yards and a touchdown. He also had 8 carries for 54 yards rushing. So that was pretty impressive to see by Quinn, using him legs. And, he played very good, put very good ball for us all year round. It's good to hear that Quinn is coming back for the 2024 season because I think he has some unfinished business as a Longhorn. And, yeah, he's my quarterback. I like him. CJ Baxter had 9 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown. Jaden Blue had 9 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. That running back duo right there is nasty. I thought after Jonathan Brooks going down, they were going to struggle. There was going to be some, it wasn't going to be as strong as it once was. And those two stepped up huge for us. And I'm looking good about their future heading into 2024. Jatavion Sanders had 6 catches for 75 yards. He played really good that game. Kind of wish he played really good. I'm not gonna say much more after that. Jordan Whittington had 4 catches for 70 yards. Jaden Blue 4 for 45 yards to the receiving. So it was kind of cool seeing Jaden Blue, a guy that didn't get a lot of playing time coming up because he's always been behind more talented dudes like Bijan Robinson, Roschon Johnson, Jonathan Brooks. But now he's getting his time to shine and he's making it count. A.D. Mitchell, 4 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown, and Xavier Worthy, 2 catches for 45 yards. Overall, Washington beat Texas 37-31. Last play of the game, Quinn had A.D. Mitchell on a post route. Kind of overthrew it, but oh man, that was a tough game. Didn't even know how to feel afterwards. I mean, I initially planned on making a podcast like a day or two afterwards, after my emotions calm down. I'm thinking, actually trying to break down what went wrong for us. But the 2 worst games of this season came from OU, where we were playing from behind and where we had costly turnovers, and it came from this game as well. On the ground, we had some turnovers, some fumbles that Washington took advantage of. So great season for Texas, great season for Bama. Both fell short of making the national championship game. But, I mean, I love the trajectory that Texas is heading in year 3, making it to the college football playoff. That's really, really good stuff to see. So, as a Longhorn fan, I'm super excited for the future. Now we're going to break down the college football championship and what went down. And I wish this was a more competitive game, more entertaining game. But Michigan took care of business against Washington, 34-13. J.J. McCarthy led the way for the Wolverines, 10 for 18 for 140 passing yards and 4 carries for 31 yards. But again, like he's done all season, running back Blake Corum just absolutely carried this team. 21 carries for 134 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Donovan Edwards was huge this game, 6 carries for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the running backs alone gave Michigan 28 points right there. So that's awesome to see. And then Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. had a very underwhelming game. 27 for 51, 255 passing yards with 1 touchdown. And, you just expected a lot more from him. With his ability to throw the football, you wished he, made more completions, had more touchdowns, was a bit more effective on the day. But, going up against a Michigan defense, it's a team that's got a really good run D, and they're really good as a passing defense compared to Texas, where it was probably one of our weaknesses was that secondary. And so Dylan Johnson was kind of shut down, and that Michigan defense was just locked down through the air. Shout out, what's his name, Will Johnson, the DB for Michigan. He was really good that day. So this means Michigan won the national championship. So shout out to Harbaugh, McCarthy, Corum, Edwards, Johnson, Wilson, everybody from the Michigan Wolverines staff. They had a lot of adversity this year. I gave them crap earlier this year about their schedule being a little bit easier than others, but they were able to win the big games, and when it came down to it in the playoff, they took care of business against Bama, and they took care of business against Washington, and they're the national champs. Definitely can say they were they are the best team of the season, but they were a top 5 team year round, and so yeah, congratulations to Michigan Wolverines fans. But Texas is coming. I will say, as a Texas fan, Texas is coming. So our time is soon, but we're gonna move on because after the championship happened, and the end of the 2023-2024 season has come to an end, we go right into the off season and we get ready for the new college football season approaching. And with that came something that kind of shocked me and the rest of the sports world around us, was that the GOAT, Nick Saban, retired from coaching at Alabama. So, Nick Saban retires, the undisputed GOAT of college football head coaches. His legacy is immortalized. What's going on? So, who's Alabama going to hire to replace him? And initially, it was Dan Lanning was a favorite to be the Alabama head coach. Sarkisian, Mike Norvell, Lane Kiffin. There was a bunch of names being thrown out there. But yeah, it was Dan Lanning was a heavy favorite at first, and then Dan Lanning ended up making a video, an announcement saying that if you're scared of your head coach, leaving your program for something else, then you don't have to come to Oregon, because he's never going to leave Oregon. And that was pretty cool to see for him. But yeah, so I was kind of wondering who's going to be the new head coach for Alabama. And I was kind of waiting for, that's what took me so long with this podcast stuff, man, was I wanted to break down the finale of the college football playoff stuff. But I was kind of waiting to see who's going to be the next head coach, because I didn't want to record a video. And then as I'm editing it or something happened, a new Alabama head coach popped up. And so yesterday came the news that Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer is set to take the Alabama head coaching job. And Kalen DeBoer went 25-3 at Washington. I'm very excited to see what he can do in the SEC. DeBoer has an overall record of 104-12 as a college football head coach. Dude is just a winner. He's succeeded at every spot he's been to, and now he's going to one of the best jobs in college football, playing in the best conference. No one will be excited to play Bama and DeBoer for years to come. This is a great hire here for Alabama. And I will say Kalen DeBoer is a phenomenal offensive mind, and you've seen what he's able to do with the second most talented roster at all the spots that he's been to. Now he's going to Alabama, where it's literally a top 5 roster, top 10 roster in college football. Very much anticipating to seeing what Kalen DeBoer does at Alabama. Great hire for them. Couldn't name a hotter name in college football head coaching right now. So kudos to the Crimson Tide. And Nick Saban might have retired as a head coach, but he's not retired from sports in general. I think his main goals from here on out. He did a little interview with ESPN that I need to go in and watch the whole thing. I've only seen glimpses of it, but I think the biggest thing for Nick Saban at this point is to make a further, positive improvement of college football and the trajectory it's going. Helping NIL, um, helping be a voice for college football, and just making sure all the good things are happening and less of the bad. Because I know there's been some controversy over the past few years, but I digress. If you can see this little TV behind me, it's playing the Houston Texans and Cleveland Browns game. The Texans just went up. Yeah, I'll talk more about the NFL playoffs here in a little bit. I want to cap off the college football segment here with transfer portal and guys that are entering the draft and stuff like that. So we're going to start it off with Will Howard, quarterback Will Howard. He's from Kansas State, entered the transfer portal. Will Howard committed to Ohio State, so that's going to be a very good fit to see. Also saw that Quinshawn Judkins, the running back out of Ole Miss, entered the portal, and he also committed to Ohio State. So Ohio State's loading up. As Michigan won the national championship, Ohio State's loading up. You got Will Howard at quarterback. You got what's his name? Travion Henderson at running back. You also got Quinshawn Judkins at running back behind him. That's going to be a nice duo in the backfield. And you also got, Emeka Egbuka coming back for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And you got a lot of, impressive guys in that wide receiver room. Cardell Tate, I know, is there. It's going to be exciting stuff to see for Ohio State fans. Texas running back Jonathan Brooks entered the NFL draft. Texas wide receiver Xavier Worthy entered the NFL draft. Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy entered the NFL draft. Texas wide receiver Jordan Whittington entered the NFL draft. Texas wide receiver A.D. Mitchell entered the NFL draft. And Texas defensive tackle T'Vondre Sweat entered the NFL draft. And those are all big names, man, that they were key contributors to this year's team. Jonathan Brooks was arguably the number one running back in the entirety of college football last season. He had put up some crazy numbers before he got hurt. Well on his way of becoming the best running back in college football before he got hurt. But he's going to be a very talented, very young running back coming into the NFL. I think Mel Kiper's got him rated as the number one running back, even with the injuries. So that's just impressive to see on his end. Xavier Worthy entered the draft. And Xavier Worthy, I think, is a first-round wide receiver. And I think what's leaving him out of that discussion is, the 40 time. I think once he runs his 40 and shows his speed, he'll start to get more looks and more discussion in the first round. I think Texas wide receiver A.D. Mitchell is also a first-round pick. In my eyes, he's a number one receiver for any team. He's just a do-it-all receiver. He can be your main guy, your main scorer. So, yeah, I like A.D. Mitchell. Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy into the draft. Byron Murphy is a very good defensive tackle. I don't know where he's ranked amongst the best defensive tackles in the class. I know T'Vondre Sweat is top 2. You could take your pick with him or the guy from Illinois. But both are very good options at defensive tackle. And also Jordan Whittington into the NFL draft, wide receiver for Texas. He had a huge play against Washington in the game that, kept Texas alive and down the stretch, but he's going to be a big culture guy for any NFL team picking him up. And he's great in the slot. He's great, he's not really a deep threat, but he's really good with the ball in his hands. So that's just something to keep an eye on. Would be happy with any of those Texas Longhorns in the draft for the Cowboys. Jatavion Sanders is also entering the NFL draft. So, yeah, a lot of departures for the Texas Longhorns, a lot of star guys. But this is a big draft for them because this is, Texas has kind of gotten crap over the years for not putting out NFL talent. And this is the year where I think it's going to change in a big way for them. So, Texas quarterback Charles Wright entered the transfer portal. Texas safety Katon Crawford entered the transfer portal. Texas safety Jaron Thompson entered the transfer portal. And Washington quarterback Will Rogers re-enters the transfer portal. So Texas saw Charles Wright, who was like quarterback 3 or 4, into the portal. And, two safeties that got a lot of playing time in the last few years. Katon Crawford and Jaron Thompson into the portal. This is because of the job Texas has done at improving the secondary with this past recruiting cycle, and also the transfer portal. Bringing in Andrew Mukuba was a big signing for them. And they also got Kobe Black coming in, and they got Malik Muhammad there, and they're going after Jabbar Muhammad, the Washington DB in the portal. So, a lot of impressive stuff going on for the Longhorns right now. As we speak, Alabama wide receiver Isaiah Bond entered the transfer portal this weekend, and he's visiting Texas right now. So that's the number one wide receiver in the portal. He jumped Evan Stewart for that title. Isaiah Bond is fast, like 4.2, 4.3 type of speed fast. Bringing him in Texas would be massive for the Longhorns. It's talking about having a wide receiver room of Jonte Cook, Ryan Wingo, Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, and you still got guys like Ryan Niblett, DeAndre Moore, Gunnar Hillman, tight end. So a lot of good names there. And also top unsigned 5-star wide receiver of the 2024 class, Ryan Williams, is visiting Texas A&M this weekend. He's visiting UT and Auburn on his next few visits. I think he makes his commitment in February. But huge player for any of those three programs, a kind of guy that's a number one receiver on your team. Auburn is the favorite to land him out of the three schools since he decommitted from Alabama. I believe Auburn, if I've had to put projections on it, how it would go right now, I think Auburn has about a 60% chance of landing him. I think Texas has a 30% chance, and I think Texas A&M has a 10% chance. Auburn's got a pretty crowded wide receiver room. UT also, and A&M could benefit from him the most, but I think they're kind of still getting their feet wet with the recruiting trail and stuff right now. They made some good signings with Elko coming in, and they're starting to formulate that team. But I think Ryan Williams really comes down to Auburn and Texas, and it's a pretty good chance he's going to go to Auburn and play for his home state. So we'll see where that goes. That's all I have for college football at the moment. It was a great season, covering the season, from Colorado making its crazy 3-week run to watching Penix fall out still, the Texas and Alabama game, Texas and OU, even though Texas lost. Just a great feeling that Texas was able to win the Big 12 and make it to the playoff, and have some guys that kind of have a good season for them. Quinn Ewers proved a lot of people wrong. Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, Jatavion Sanders, Brooks. The defense was great for us. I'm just excited for the outlook of the Texas Longhorns in the future. I will continue to cover college football, even in the off-season months. It really never stops with recruiting and stuff like that. So I'm going to continue to keep you all informed. I'm going to talk about the NFL playoffs right now. This is the Wildcard weekend. And with that, we have 6 games, 2 today, 2 tomorrow, which is Sunday, and 2 Monday. The 2 games that are going on today, Saturday the 13th. Right now, the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. And later tonight, it's the Miami Dolphins at the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to talk about this Browns and Texans game right now. Texans are leading 10-7. I got the Texans winning this one. I know the Browns have played phenomenal ball all year round. Flacco has been amazing for them down the stretch. The defense has been consistent, solid all year round with Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Denzel Ward. The safety for Grant Delpit went out, but he was phenomenal for him this year. Cleveland has had a very impressive season. So has Houston with the emergence of C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, Will Anderson on the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Petrie. But I got the Texans winning this one. I think that C.J. Stroud is phenomenal. And I think he's very, very motivated to win this one. So are the Browns, but this is a spot where I think the Texans are going to win. I'm going for the Texans at least in this one. And moving on tonight, it's probably going to be the coldest NFL game in history, or one of the coldest, with wind chills up to -30 degrees Fahrenheit. So good luck to any Chiefs or Dolphins fans that are heading down to Kansas City for the Miami Dolphins at Kansas City Chiefs. This game could go any way. Most of the people are predicting the Chiefs to win this one. They expect a lot of RPOs, a lot of short passes, a lot of run plays. And I don't anticipate it being a high-scoring game. I got the Chiefs barely pulling it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins pulled it out either. It's just the Dolphins are kind of hurting right now with injuries to the linebacking core. It's going to be a hard team to play against because, I expect Kansas City to use Pacheco a lot today, and they should lean on him in that aspect. So I got the Chiefs winning that one. I got the Texans winning this one right here. And moving on to the Green Bay Packers and Dallas Cowboys, I have the Cowboys, my team, winning that one. Sorry, Raylan, but I think the Cowboys are the better team. They're undefeated at home this year, and they're at home playing the Packers. This ain't gonna be like what it was when they said Dez Bryant's catch wasn't a catch. This ain't gonna be the way it is. I think the Cowboys are on a different mission this year, and they're I think that they're a Super Bowl caliber team, but we'll see about that. I think at this point, we just need to take it week by week. And our goal should be to win this game right here and move on to next week. So that's what I'll say about that. I think Jordan Love has had an impressive season all year round. I don't think he's just a young star trying to prove himself anymore at this point. I think Jordan Love is good enough, and he's made great plays down the stretch this season to where I can say I'm confident in his ability as a quarterback. I think he's one of the great stars in this league. Maybe I don't put him top 10, but he's definitely in the top 15, top 16 discussion. And so, I like Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers team, but I got the Cowboys winning this one. And tomorrow night, we got the LA Rams at Detroit Lions. The NFL people, the script writers were really going hard with the narratives here in Wildcard weekend with Tyreek Hill returning to Kansas City. And also we got for the Rams and Lions, we have Jared Goff going to Detroit. He's going to be playing his former team, the Rams, and Matthew Stafford playing his former team, the Lions. So it's going to be pretty cool to see. And the Lions are I don't know if they're the favorite, but they're not the underdog in this matchup. I got the Rams winning this one. I think a healthy Matthew Stafford, healthy Puka, healthy Kupp, healthy Aaron Donald. They've been lacking all those guys all year round, and they finally got them all for this matchup here. They got a young defense, a team full of young guys. Meanwhile, the Lions, they play some good ball year round. I still just think that the Rams got more stars, and I'm pretty confident the Rams taking this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions showed out in this one too. The Lions got a pretty good run game. Number one rush defense, I believe, in the NFL. I'm not sure about that, but Detroit's a really good team. I could see that one going either way, but I got the Rams personally winning that one. And on Monday, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills, and I have the Bills winning this one. I think, kudos to Pittsburgh for making it this far. Don't know how they did it with that quarterback situation, but, that defense just continues to be consistent year round. And, they're going to Buffalo where the game got moved to Monday night due to the weather. And, I like Buffalo in this game. They're the home team. I just think they're more talented, plain and simple. They really turned their season around after, being on the brink of missing the playoffs. So I think Josh Allen and company win this and move on to the next round. And last but not least, the Monday night primetime game, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A.J. Brown, I don't know what's going on with him. With the social media, he deleted all the Philadelphia Eagles content off his Instagram page, and he's not playing Monday night due to a knee sprain. I'm sure he is banged up, but it's just kind of interesting timing. But no A.J. Brown for them. So wide receiver 2 for the Eagles is going to be Julio Jones, and they're playing a Tampa Bay team who's coming alive here in the last few weeks. I believe out of all the games on the slate right here, I think this game is the biggest upset potential. I can see either or winning this game. I think the Eagles kind of clutch this one out. I just think they're too talented defensively and offensively speaking. I know Jalen Hurts hurt his finger, but I think because he's a scrambling quarterback and he's so good at it that he's able to get the job done and get the win over Tampa Bay here. And we're going to end the video off with some NBA talk. We'll not try to make it too long, but, I want to talk about some NBA that's been going down here in the last stretch of games. I got to tune into the Spurs and Bucks like a week or two ago. It was a nationally televised game on TNT. It was Wemby versus Giannis, and that game did not disappoint. It went right down to the wire. You saw both teams compete, and you saw what Wemby was able to do against a superstar, and they both look like superstars themselves. It was just great for the NBA, great for a Spurs fan to see Wemby continue to impress me. God, man, Victor Wembanyama is so good. Just seeing what he's able to do. He's putting up like 20 and 10 with ease now in 25 minutes. Like, ever since he made the transition from power forward to center with the injury of Zach Collins hurting the Spurs, they put Wemby to the 5, and, it's been a great move so far. He's been, producing at that spot. But nonetheless, Spurs are still the second worst team in the West. So, I don't see a championship coming to San Antonio this season. But, the focus should still be, focus on the young players, develop, and, how can we make this team better at the trade deadline? Talking about the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody reported they wanted out of Golden State last week. I know Golden State's made efforts to repair that relationship with Jonathan Kuminga, putting him back in the starting lineup, giving him some more shots and stuff like that. But they moved him back to the bench this week, which is it was a bit of a questionable role, I would say. But yeah, those two personally asked out for Golden State, so we'll see what happens with them. Both were rookies out of the 2020 NBA draft class, I believe. Also, the Warriors have been shopping Andrew Wiggins, and I think they've made it clear that anybody on the Golden State Warriors besides Steph Curry is available for a trade. So the Warriors at this point just trying to, put a contender around Steph Curry, because you don't want to waste arguably the greatest point guard in the NBA while he's still got good years of winning a championship. You don't want to waste those. And it just feels like this season is, if they continue to keep this team the way it is they're gonna lose more than they're gonna win. So we'll see what the Warriors do ahead of the trade deadline. Pascal Siakam is expected to be traded or let go from the Toronto Raptors. They've continued to lose leverage on the situation of trading him. I know that the Sacramento Kings were a team interested in Pascal Siakam. They had Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell on the trade block, as a potential trade there. But I don't think that was a good enough. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good enough deal or stuff, but if I'm the Kings, I'm not getting rid of Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, and Davion Mitchell for Pascal Siakam, especially if Siakam's not going to sign long term. So we'll see what happens with Pascal Siakam in Toronto. I know he's been rumored to be traded there for a couple years now. And talking about those Kings players, I think Harrison Barnes is definitely on the trade block. And, I think for the Kings, they're just trying to they're trying to be buyers at this deadline, trying to acquire a star to pair alongside Fox and Sabonis and Keegan Murray, to try to, further strengthen the team for the playoff run that's coming ahead for them. DeJounte Murray is on the trade block for the Atlanta Hawks. It's almost certain that he's going to get traded next week or something like that. The Spurs showed exploratory interest in getting DeJounte Murray back. I would love it as a Spurs fan. I could wear my old DeJounte Murray jersey again. That would be fun to see. I know also the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat are also two big players for DeJounte Murray. So that's something to keep an eye on. Where is DeJounte Murray going to fit best? Obviously, I think he would fit really good in San Antonio. San Antonio lacks the starting point guard, really. And, DeJounte coming in, I think the biggest thing is, how is he going to fit alongside Wemby? How much is he going to cost? That would be my biggest thing. If he went to Miami or LA, I think Miami is a little bit of a better fit. Miami's making some serious runs here down the stretch. They look like a good team. They look like a team that's going to compete again in the playoffs. Jaime Jaquez, Tyler Hero's looking good this year. Butler, Adebayo took a massive jump this year. And lastly, the Lakers. I think the Lakers are just a little bit curious as to if they give up Austin Reeves in this case. Does DeJounte Murray move the needle for the Lakers? And me personally, I do think he does. I think he would play great alongside AD and LeBron. I think he provides. I think DeJounte is best suited as a point guard. I know the Hawks try to make him a shooting guard to pair alongside Trae Young, but DeJounte Murray is best when he has the ball in his hands. He's able to play, make, score, and he's able to defend at a high level. And he's not, Steph Curry from three, but he can hit the open three ball, and he'll get you 2 3-pointers a game if you need it. I like DeJounte Murray a lot. I think he's worth it if you're going to trade for him. But I understand the Lakers for being cautious in this situation. You don't want to deal a player away like Austin Reeves without being sure that what you're getting in return is, dependable like him. Zach LaVine for the Chicago Bulls is on the trade block. He's been on the trade block for a while. We'll see if he's able to get moved this offseason or this trade deadline. Might have to be an offseason kind of deal for him. And lastly, for the New York Knicks, Julius Randle is being shot by the New York Knicks. So we'll see who's looking in the market for Julius Randle. I know OG Anunoby and RJ Barrett got traded. I don't know. I need to look it over my notes from the last podcast. I didn't talk about it, so I can talk about it a little bit right now. The Knicks and Raptors did a trade. They traded OG Anunoby for RJ Barrett, and I think Emmanuel Quickley went to Toronto as well. So Toronto got Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, and the Knicks got OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa, I think. I think since then, the Knicks have been undefeated, like 6-0 since acquiring OG. He's been a great fit alongside Jalen Brunson and company. And for the Raptors, RJ Barrett has had some of his best games of the season with Toronto, just a team that he can, be a dependable scorer. And Quickly's coming into his own as a point guard. It's good to see. I thought it was a win-win trade for both sides. You don't see very many win-win trades, but that was one of them. And so I like the trade. But overall, down the stretch this upcoming week, you'll start to see more trades coming along for the NBA and more trade talks hype up because the deadline is coming up and teams are at that point where they already know what this team looks like in this current season. And, they're trying to get better. Or they're trying to get worse and tank for the draft. So we'll see where that goes. I'm thinking in the next video, I'm going to do a mock draft for y'all. I'll bring a guest along so we can talk about some more topics. Definitely some more NFL. Because with the end of this wildcard weekend comes the next round, and that's looking to be a good one as well. But in the meantime, this is going to be it for episode 24. I appreciate y'all guys for tuning in. We talked about the end of the college football season, and we talked about the college football playoff, the college football championship. We talked about the GOAT, Nick Saban, retiring from college football as a head coach. We talked about Kalen DeBoer replacing him as said so head coach. We talked about transfer portal. We talked about guys entering the NFL draft. We talked about some NBA a little bit. We talked about some NFL playoffs, wild card weekend predictions a little bit. So that's going to be it for this one. Y'all make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Let's see what I can get y'all to comment. Let me get y'all to comment who's going to win the Super Bowl. I would love to hear some Super Bowl predictions for y'all. But in the meantime, that's going to be it for episode 24. Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope everybody has a great, warm weekend. And y'all stay safe out there. Peace.